Hello and welcome to the Reverend Hunter Podcast. This is Tony Jones. I'm the Reverend Hunter, joined as always by the Reels. No. Oh, I got to start over. I screwed it up. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Reverend Hunter Podcast. This is Tony Jones. I'm the Reverend Hunter, joined as always by the threads to my Instagram, Brandon.
Whoa, we switched themes officially, and it's one I understand.
I mean, Threads is kind of the little brother to Instagram.
Yeah.
The little brother we don't know if he'll survive.
That seems fair.
I met some guy at PheasantFest, and he said, oh, yeah, the other time we talked was on, and then he named this, like, short-lived social media. I can't even remember the name of it. It was a thing where you would do live audio conversations.
Oh, yeah. I remember it. Wasn't it Periscope, right?
It wasn't even, that was another one. This was another one. I can't even remember the name of the darn thing. It was during COVID, and we did like some hunting ones, and I organized a few, and then the whole thing petered out. You never know which social media. I think with Threads or whatever, because Meta and Mark Zuckerberg are behind it, it's probably got a better chance of surviving. But it's all about adoption, Brandon. Who knows?
I've never used Threads once in my life. I don't even know what Threads looks like, to be honest.
Well, now whenever you post on Instagram, it's like, hey, do you want to also post it on Threads with one click? And then
all right.
Anywho, well, you had an ephemeral visit to PheasantFest.
Yeah.
How'd it go? It was a rowdy night, man. It was I should probably confess this now, but the rear speaker at the bar where we were, I turned it down.
That's fine. Yeah.
Because it was so loud. Even Rob Burrell looked at me and he was like, "Yeah, thanks. That was probably a good idea."
Yeah, it was so far away for me to adjust anything because we were in just basically a giant long garage.
Concrete box. There was not much sound absorption in that space except for the people who were in the room.
Yeah. No, it was a fun event, but it was a nightmare for audio. I bet
it was the Flush. It was the Flush Live podcast at PheasantFest, and it was a rowdy night, man. That ended up raising $2,500 for Pheasants Forever, which was pretty. It seemed totally spontaneous, like that wasn't actually planned. It just happened.
Yeah, who would have thought? That actually went really well. I had a lot of fun, and Travis. I mean, I got to give him credit where credit's due. He put together that show. He did all the questions and everything on his own. I was just along for the ride.
Yeah, it's a fun, big night for them, and he does a great job putting that trivia contest together. But, I mean, by setting it up, he doesn't have to compete in it.
Yeah, that's very true.
Probably saves him.
Well, how about yourself? I've heard you had a busy couple weekends aside from Pheasant Fest.
Yeah, I had a great time at Pheasant Fest, and that's the interview that we're going to air today came from there. And then... this last weekend, I was just at Canoecopia. So I was at
Canoecopia.
When I tell people who aren't really in the same world that you and I occupy, that, oh yeah, I was at Pheasant Fest and then I went to Canoecopia. They're like, those are some oddly named conferences, but they're kind of like punny and alliterative.
Yeah.
Canoecopia, like if Pheasant Fest is the world's largest upland hunting convention, Canoecopia is the world's largest paddle sports convention.
Oh,
so
all right.
Canoeing and kayaking, and then some paddle boards and stuff like that. And similar, like a lot of different talks, a lot of different sessions on everything from like how to fish for smallmouth bass out of a kayak to the best routes through the Quetico. And then a big expo, floor with, oh my gosh, dozens, scores, maybe hundreds of canoes and kayaks and roof racks and, camp food and ultralight tents. And my favorite Superior Gear hammock people were there. Yeah. So met some people, had a great time, gave a talk that was, I think, very well received. That was basically I gave a sermon in which I preached about canoeing. A godless sermon, you might. I mean, I don't want. Maybe it wasn't godless. It was just a non-sectarian sermon. It was, the same thing. I gave the invocation at the Pheasants Forever National Banquet for the second year in a row, which is a great honor. And the challenge in situations like that is to write something that is sacred without being sectarian. And
it's got to be difficult to do.
Yeah, my Canoecopia talk was that as well. So that was fun. Yeah.
Cool. Well,
good times. Good times. And I've been doing a lot of work around the house because being empty nesters now, we can arrange the house to suit the needs of Courtney and me and the dogs. And yeah.
That's great. That's going along swimmingly?
It is. I mean, now I have to figure out my, because with the book coming out in a couple weeks, I've just got a bunch of podcast interviews lined up. So this is such a 2024 problem, but I have to figure out like my best Zoom background.
Sure.
Because unlike our podcast here on the Talk North Network, most of the podcasts I do have some kind of video version.
Sure.
Sorry about that.
That's good.
Yeah, so I gotta, even if they don't air it, I want to look like, I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out my video backdrop.
All right, you got like one of those cool ring cams that all the young people have?
I do have some kind of a light.
Okay.
I think that Courtney got for me, but I'm just using my MacBook camera and the mic that you told me to get, which I'm using right now. So that's what's coming up. And you, man, it's spring. The buds are already showing up on the trees. Are you getting outside, walking your dog? How's it going?
Yeah. Just I'm enjoying it. I can't wait for today. I wish I didn't have to work so much because it's going to be even better out today. But yeah, I'm loving it. Already getting ready to prepare that first camping trip, and then me and my partner were looking to get morel mushroom hunting too. Obviously, within a month, maybe even two. It should be early this year.
You tried at my place last year with no success.
No success.
I've showed other people, where our place is on like Onyx, and other hunters are like, there got to be morels somewhere in there. And I mean, you said the same thing. And there must be. I just have no idea.
Yeah, well, and I think they'd be the black morels, and the season's a little different than it is for the morels here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you guys chasing the eclipse? I know several people who are going to try to catch the big eclipse late in April.
We haven't planned anything specific. I'd love to catch it, but I mean, I'm not going to go completely out of my way either.
Yeah.
Probably got work to do, I'm sure. How about yourself? Are you going to check it out?
No, I don't know. I'm surprised, honestly, at the people I know who are so into it. But yeah, I mean, I say it's a cool thing, but it's a lot of work for like 3 minutes of.
Yeah, I saw a full eclipse when I was in like elementary school. I'm good.
there's a Delta flight you can take, and they fly you right like down the path of the eclipse. And I think I heard the flights sold out, and they're maybe going to add another flight or two. But I would stink to get the aisle seat. You know what I mean on that flight?
They shouldn't even sell tickets for the aisle.
Right. Probably they don't, or they charge a lot more for the window seat.
Right. Well, now you have me thinking, does everybody crowd to the one side of the plane? Is that safe to do so?
That's right. I mean, I don't know. That would be an odd flight to get on, but
that's kind of cool.
My guest this week is a guy I've been following for a long time and had some, online conversations with, but had not met in person until PheasantFest. Tim Brown goes by the moniker the Bearded Uplander, and just a sweet guy, a giant of a human being with a big beard and a big presence, but just sweet and like a gentle giant kind of a guy. And his videos, you can catch him on Instagram and YouTube, and there's a link to his website in the show notes. I asked him, you'll hear in the interview, I asked him why, of all the people who are just like shooting pheasant hunts off GoPros strapped to baseball caps as they hunt. Why his have kind of gone big and gone viral, and well, he's got an answer for that. But there is something special about his videos, so I think you'll really like our conversation. We start as often in these conversations on the Reverend Hunter podcast. We start kind of getting to know each other, and then by the end of the hour, we're going pretty deep on issues of life and death and existential truths. So it's good stuff. I think you'll like it. I appreciate you listening and your support. As always, I encourage you to rate, share, review, and if you've got ideas for guests or sponsors, drop us a DM and let us know. Thanks for listening to the Reverend Hunter podcast. Here's my conversation with the bearded Uplander, Tim Brown. Tell me about your gallbladder.
So the crazy thing is the Iowa bird chaser, Nick Martin, was up. He needed a couple counties because he's doing that 99 county thing in Iowa. So he was up, and we were hunting with some friends. It was getting close to Thanksgiving, and the day before we had an unbelievable hunt. Killed a lot of birds, and then the night we went to a steakhouse, and I come back, and middle of the night I wake up, and it's a gut like cramp, and I don't know what it is, and I'm like, okay, there's something wrong, and I've had it happen before in the past.
But then you pooped and it felt better.
Well, you think it's gas and all that, but it never resolved itself, right?
Sure.
So the next morning I wake up and I'm like, Nick, I can't go. I'm going to try to figure this out because it always went away, So after a couple hours, no, it wasn't going away. I'm like, it's time to go to the hospital. Went to the hospital. They did a scan, and it had 15 stones in it.
Holy smokes.
And she goes, it's extremely angry. I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? And she's like, it's going to have to come out. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. It took them 2 days to figure out to get it out. So the day before Thanksgiving, that night, I'm in the hospital. I've been in the hospital for 2 days then. And I mean, the pain was excruciating.
Oh, I bet.
And I've had kidney stones, and they're bad, but this was 10 times as bad.
Holy smokes.
So I'm in the hospital, and they finally get me scheduled to get it out. And they get it out, and it's Thanksgiving Day I get to go home.
Okay.
So I go home to my friend's place where we're having Thanksgiving, and my girlfriend came up, and she drove me around and pretty much was my nurse the whole time. And we get back, and Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. Yeah. Christmas is too, but Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday because we get to hunt, we get good food. I can't eat any food because my belly has just been destroyed. I ate a little bit of stuff, but when your gallbladder's taken out, there's certain things that can trigger it and set it off. Yeah. It was horrible. So, and then it just compounding it. So the next day I wake up and I walk out to the kitchen, and the girls are sitting there and they're making breakfast, and they're like, you're not going to be happy. And I look outside, and there's 3 inches of fresh snow on the ground.
Oh, dude.
First, significant snowfall in Iowa. You know what that means with pheasants.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I couldn't go, and I'm just like, this is the worst, So we made it, and, middle of December, I started feeling normal again.
Okay.
So I got to get out the last part of the season, and, I couldn't walk a ton, but it was getting back to normal. And then the last weekend of the season, it was,
You're okay.
gangbusters, yeah.
What does your gallbladder even do?
I think all it does is hold the bile to break down the fats and that. So that's the other thing. A lot of people in my family have had it taken out, and my sister-in-law cannot eat broccoli because it sets it off.
Interesting.
I love Polish sausage and sauerkraut.
Yeah.
I had some this last week. That's off the list. I can't have any. I can't have any of that
what happens
fatty sausage.
when you
it turns your gut it just wrenches on it like it's.
Oh, dude.
And then the crazy thing is when it's over, it feels like you had the best ab workout ever. Because your stomach is just sore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it lasts a couple days. But if I just stay away from the really fatty stuff, I'm usually pretty good.
Okay.
But
Wow.
man, that's the bad thing though. The really fatty stuff
Is
is good stuff.
That's the best
You
stuff
know,
there is.
it's the best stuff to eat. But yeah, it is
Yeah.
what it is. It's just things you gotta roll with.
Yeah. So we're here at PheasantFest. We're right by the bathrooms and the exhibitors' little hospitality suite. So you might hear some flushing in the background. That's not us. That's just people
Yeah.
using the restroom. How many Pheasant Fests have you been to?
Oh, geez. Probably. I don't know. There's been 7 or 8, probably. I bet.
Okay.
How many has there been? Because I remember when it was.
I
in
think there's
Des
been like
Moines.
20. Yeah.
I've been to Des Moines, Omaha, Minneapolis, here twice.
Okay.
Would have been 3 times if it wasn't for COVID. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited for next year too. Next year's going to be.
You
A
think
blast.
so?
Yeah.
Kansas City.
Kansas City. What did you think of how busy it's been?
Man, it's I mean, this is just my third. I've been to the 2 in Minneapolis, the 2 most recent ones in Minneapolis. You know, the Minneapolis Convention Center is obviously more spread out. There's a
Yeah.
little more room, elbow room. This place, you know, I've heard that, I don't know, they maybe have outgrown this, This venue.
They might have.
which would suck if they couldn't come back to Sioux Falls. I mean,
Yeah.
they got to, you know, how can you not do it in South Dakota?
Yeah,
But there's nowhere else in South Dakota but here to do it.
yeah, this is as big as it gets in South
Yeah.
Dakota.
So I think they'll have to make it work here. But
Yeah.
you know, yesterday, man, you could hardly move. It was the biggest challenge for me has been walking around with the dog
Yes.
because it's so crowded, and then he's kind of like pulling. And my biggest problem is all about him. He just every vertical thing we pass, he wants to lift his leg. And I'm like, no, dude, you
Yeah.
can't pee in here.
that was the
spot.
whole reason why I didn't bring mine. You know, I got 2 German short hairs, and
Mhm.
Mac would be fine, like as far as like not jumping up on people and just being a good dog. But I'm afraid of the lifting the leg.
Yeah, so the bird dog parade was a real challenge.
I bet it was.
I mean, that is like you go from like you know driving in a car for 4 hours from the Twin Cities, like
Yes.
no stimulation, then all of a sudden like, hey, here's 100 other dogs
Yeah.
indoors.
Yep.
And you-
Overload. Just
and you
complete
can't-
overload.
And you can't mark anything, and so that was a challenge. But yesterday he was much better, and he's a lot, like once he figured it out, he's pretty chill.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
it's been great. I mean, man, the bird dog stage has been
Yep.
standing room only every time I've walked past it.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of places that you can go and see literally every breed of dog that is used in bird hunting.
Yeah.
And they're here.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you even if you're not a hunter, if you like dogs, this is the
It's a
best
great
place
spot
to
to
go.
be. Yeah. It's a great spot to be. So when you like locate yourself for us in the world, like when you wake up in the morning, look out your window.
I'm actually
What do you
right.
see?
Well, I see town because I live in town, which kind of stinks, but it's south of here a little ways. I'm kind of crop ground and Los Hills all mixed into one.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we do a lot of hunting there, but I mean, I travel so much to go hunting anymore that I like the different places to wake up to.
How far do you have to go from your front door to get to a spot you like?
Less than 2 miles.
Dang, dude.
Yeah, less than 2 miles.
I would go every day. I mean, I tell myself that, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
probably not the truth.
No, it's tough sometimes, but you know, work gets in the way and all the other stuff that you have commitments to do get in the way. But I mean, I get out quite a bit actually, because in the fall the seed sales, you know, because I work for a seed company and it's not really gangbusters.
Okay.
So you know, late season I can use a little more vacation time and stuff like that to get out.
Yeah.
And you don't have the pressure in late season either. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't want to go out and,
Oh, it's my,
You know,
yeah,
I love it.
I concentrate my visits in South Dakota like post November 15th.
Yep.
And I've since they did the Craven money grab of extending the season to the end of January
Yes.
for people like me who are just like junkies and need to shoot more pheasant hunting into my veins.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. Can I can I give South Dakota another $145?
Yeah.
And then
Already
hotel
gave-
room and yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I'll buy my third license and come out for times 5 and
Yeah.
6.
Yeah, they did it right on that way just to get more revenue. I wish they would have a year-round one, but they don't.
Is that right? Do you?
I wish they would.
What do you think that would mean? I mean,
It would probably.
conservationists would freak out, wouldn't they?
I think.
Or would you have to stop during nesting season or?
No, I mean a year-round, like year-long for the whole season. Like
Oh,
instead
like
of
a
the 2
non-resident.
weeks. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
you were saying
Instead
year-round
of, oh yeah,
hunting.
no way, no
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
I don't like it going to January 31st. I don't like.
You
it
know,
going that long.
I did a story when they first did that. I wrote a story for the Outdoor News about it, and I interviewed 3 or 4 different wildlife biologists, like one Minnesota DNR, one South Dakota Fish and Game, and like one Pheasants Forever, and all of them said the same thing. It's not going to hurt pheasant population. Is what they told. Here's what they said with a caveat,
Right.
because they're like, one rooster impregnates 40 to 60 hens.
Yeah.
But they said where you hurt them is in a late season hunt. If you bump them out of a place they're safe and warm.
That's what I'm afraid of.
And I
don't care about the roosters. I mean, they're going to be fine. Like, if some of them die, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
I'm worried about the girls. That's all that at late season, that's all that I worry about.
Yeah.
Because there's enough roosters that they will find some place. And like you said, they only need 1.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
2 for 20 hens, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the only thing that I worry about. And not to knock on anybody's way of they hunt or whatever, but just driving around and then getting out and walking a slough real quick in a blizzard, you could kill the whole slew of them,
But
that's what scares me.
I know, but yes. I'm guilty. Guilty as charged because I have done that, and that's some crazy fun hunting.
Oh, yeah. But
you're right.
In a blizzard, that's just, it scares me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the older we get, the more we think about stuff like that.
That's probably true, yeah.
In my 20s, I'm going to go every day, and I know the spots that I can walk really quick.
Yeah.
And probably shoot my limit.
Yeah.
And you don't think about that, you don't think about the longevity of the next season. Like, I just bumped all them hens out, and now they don't know how to get
where are they
back to
going?
where they're going.
Yeah, where are they going to go?
Yeah.
I mean, and it probably was different when there's more habitat and they can just fly to the next
Yes.
farm.
Yes.
There's another slough or whatever. But
Well,
if the next slough is 2 miles away.
Yep. And that's the other thing, like you just said, like if there's stuff around it, then it's no big deal.
Yeah.
But if it's like the only, you got 25 acres and a cattail slough in the middle of it, and there's nothing else around.
Yeah.
And you go bump it when it's blowing 40 mile an hour in snow. They're probably not going to make it. That's the only thing I worry about.
Yeah. No, I think you're probably right. And that is the one thing those biologists said is they're like, if you care about the birds, don't hunt during a blizzard.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing.
Yeah.
If it's, and I came out here this year in January, and we were in short sleeve shirts.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Now it was hard because there was some snow, and it was that deal where, it snowed, but then it's crusty on top. The birds are just on top. They're not burrowed in or whatever. They're not in those tunnels in the cattails.
Yep.
They're just standing in a tree belt, standing on top of crusty snow, and the truck just like drives down the gravel road, and they're gone.
They're gone.
One leaves, and it's like one giant organism. They just all.
Yep, the whole thing goes, and then half of them are running away before they even think about getting up. Yeah.
So that's challenging. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy.
Yeah.
But
late season wild pheasants it's a whole different animal than
Let's
it is
talk
early.
about this wild pheasants because Mark, who's recording gear, he always gives me grief. Whenever I'm on the way to South Dakota, he's like, have fun shooting those pen raised birds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're not. Dude, I'm like, come out here with me. Like, these are not. But South Dakota does release birds.
Yep.
Under like dark of night, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? About the sporting of that, the ethics of that kind of thing?
I mean, when it comes to down to it, like bottom line, you're going to South Dakota because of the experience. I think you're going to South Dakota and shooting pheasants is what you ultimately want to do. But if they're putting out a surplus to make sure everybody that goes there has a good time, I have no problem with it. I mean, it makes sense to me. And to be honest with you, you paid the $140. Say you come from Georgia, you paid the $140 to hunt there, and you're driving, 24 hours pretty much. You want to have a good time. You want to shoot some birds.
Yeah.
It's the only time they're going to come. Like guys like you and me that really like the wild bird chase and stuff like that. We're not going to the places where it's going to be easy pickings. We're going to stuff that's going to be a little more challenging. We want the dog work to be amazing. We want it to be a little more challenging. It's just better for the sport to get more people. And I'm fine with liberated birds. I mean,
I like that way to say it, liberated birds.
If there's one that's like in an area that I'm hunting and, maybe it's banded or whatever, how they do that too. It makes no difference. As long as it's not, like gets up 2 foot and then gets back, sits back down.
Yeah. Like a game farm bird. That's different.
I don't like those.
That's different. That's different. And, speaking of banded birds, I mean, I don't think anyone's ever shot the $1 million rooster rush Huron. They always release one in around Huron. Yeah, that's like $1 million. I don't think anyone's ever gotten it.
I don't think so either.
So that insurance company, whoever underwrites that competition,
they probably have it locked up in somebody's barn.
I know, right? Yeah. And the way I also think of it is like what I'll say to people who I'm like, look. Ringneck pheasants are an introduced species.
Yeah, they're
non-native species. Yeah. They were introduced as a sporting bird.
Yeah.
So that's why they're on the landscape.
Yep. That and food. They were put on there for food and to hunt them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I hate to talk about it because Tyler Webster and I talked about it too. It's just I don't understand why people put different animals on different pedestals. And you say it's non-sporting, like you said about turkeys, like what makes it any different than any other bird that I can't shoot a turkey out of the air?
Right.
You get mad
it's
about
not
it.
sporting, yeah.
And if I shoot a pheasant on the ground,
it's not sporting.
Somebody's going to flip out about it. It's like what?
Or shooting a duck on the water.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know.
It's just you just have to.
And I know guys who are like, "Oh, I would never shoot a duck on the water." Well, I'll shoot a Canada goose on the water because those things suck.
Right. Well, and that's the thing that I've heard too. Like with ducks and geese, like you fooled that duck and goose 100% because he landed in your decoys.
Right.
So you did the ultimate thing by fooling that bird, and it committed the whole way. What more do you want? I mean, you call a turkey in all the way in, and you shoot them like that. It's like.
I know.
It's like we shoot ourselves in the foot. You know what I mean? Hunters, we bicker more amongst ourselves than we do anybody else.
What I've found interesting as somebody who's moved from the religion world into the hunting world is that there is no systemic ethic of hunting. There's this kind of ad hoc method where, well, I don't know. I've heard it's not sporting to do this. And the guy who mentored me said, don't ever do that. And there's not you come in a religious system, there's thousands of years of people writing ethical treatises. And there's kind of a corpus of thought. And hunting, it's there's the Boone and Crockett deal from 150 years ago. And then do people, have people even read that or Jim Posowitz or whatever? But there's no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this has also been interesting to me of late. And I've been talking to some people about this, but you got Pheasants Forever for pheasants and upland hunting. You got BHA for public land. You got Minnesota Deer Hunters for whitetails. You got Rocky Mountain elk.
Yeah.
Where's that conservation org that's we're the ethics org?
Yeah, that's the sportsman's, something sportsman's alliance or, something
or
crazy
somebody,
like that.
People are the Orion Institute is kind of that. But well, where's the Orion Institute isn't here.
Right.
They don't have a booth. They're not speaking at the public land stage.
Yes.
So I just think there should be, maybe I should do it or something, but there should be some kind of
Yep, you should do it.
Org that's we're the ethics org. We're going to be the ones we're going to catalyze conversations about this.
I agree. I mean, there needs to be something to try to bring all of it together and I think, actually, if you really think about it, I think dogs are probably the hub where it should start.
Okay.
Because you've got houndsmen, you've got duck, you got waterfowl. So anything that hunts with a bird and a dog or even fur now, you got this mountain lion problem stuff that's going on with hunting with dogs in Colorado.
Right.
And then you've got bobcats, and you've got, running bears, dogs with bears. You've got, rabbit dogs in the South. All this stuff. I think dogs could bring literally everything closer together to have that conversation like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, Boone and Crockett, like the Iowa Deer Classic's going on right now too, which is the state that I'm originally from. And my buddy has a deer that he killed this last year, bow season, and we believe like gross score of antlers. I mean, like that's what we like nets, because the net score is, what it nets typical wise, and that's what gets you in the books, the record books. Well, a lot of people are going to this new style where it's just the gross score, and they say nets are for fish. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's another big issue with like deer hunters. It's got to be the gross score. It's got to be the net score. And it's like, come guys, who cares? It's a giant deer. It's literally a 190-inch giant deer. I don't care what it scores. It's just a big mature buck. And that's, it's just like, we all have to come together, and like you said, an ethics group would be really good.
Yeah. Tell me how your life has changed since, I don't know, you pick it like since Instagram or since your first GoPro or like your hunting life going online. How's that changed your life and your hunting life?
It's kind of surreal. Like yesterday, I'm sitting in the Chief Upland booth helping Jake and Kristen out. Sell some vests and just talk to some people, and they're nice enough to let me put some of my merchandise up there and peddle that and sell some shirts and stuff. But it's really surreal after you have my Instagram has grown leaps and bounds in the last year and a half, like crazy, and people always commenting they love my videos. I mean, there's always going to be haters and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's all positive, overwhelming. And sitting in their booth yesterday, I can't remember the guy's name, came over with his little kid, and he said, we watch your stuff all the time. And he watches it too, and I'm like, well, I hope, you have it on mute, some of the stuff, because I said sometimes there's some bad language or the heavy breathing that everybody gives me crap about. But it's like surreal to like people actually watch and actually care about, because, and every one of them have said to me, you hunt the exact same way that I hunt. You're not one that's gonna, say your dog's on point and the bird flushes wild. You're still shooting the bird. Like, that's what I do. If people do the field trial stuff and they, you want your dog to hold the point until you release it. I mean, that's all. However you want to hunt, you hunt. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we really like your content because this is exactly how me and my buddies do it. And I show the stuff that we joke around and we, make fun of each other when we miss or we fall down or, something like that. And we just cut up and we have a great time. Like that's when I was growing up, that was what my dad and all of his buddies would do too. And my brothers and their buddies. It was always the camaraderie of everybody get together, especially opening day. Opening weekend was, it was a holiday. Mm-hmm. And you would all get together at somebody's house and we're like, where are we going first? We're doing this, we're doing that. You'd get back and after the day's over and you start cleaning birds and then the beer starts to get drank and then you all go out to supper together and it's just a group thing of everybody together that, when I was younger, it always happened. And then I come out to where my friends live the first time in like 2008. And we were hunting with their dogs, and I didn't have a dog at that time because Eastern Iowa was just after the boom of the CRP started coming out. So we lost all of our birds. Oh, yeah. Or not all of them, but a majority of them.
Yeah.
And Eastern
I've
Iowa
tried hunting over there.
Eastern Iowa was a mecca in the 90s. Yeah. It would rival South Dakota with bird-wise. And so I just went away from it, and I started turkey hunting and deer hunting. And then I came up here, or up to where my buddies live up here, and I went, and the birds numbers were, like it was back when I lived back in eastern Iowa. And my friend Mark has a bunkhouse, and we all stay there, and everybody's in the same room, and we all cut up, and we'd go to the bar, and we'd have a good time. When I was 20 and I could actually handle drinking anything. And so I was like, okay, I'm really liking this, but the one thing that was missing was the bird dog. I didn't have one. I always had one growing up. I always, Dad always had them. My brothers always had them. So I was like, okay, done deal. I'm getting a bird dog next year. Okay. I'm doing it. So the next year comes around, and a friend of my dad, his son had some wire hairs, and I told Terry, which is the guy that I got Gus from, that I want one. I said, he said his dad was going to come up to our hometown, and he was going to bring one. He goes, "What one do you want?" And I said, "Your dad's had bird dogs and raised bird dogs for 50 years. Whatever one John picks out, that's the one I want."
Okay.
Smart, just pick it out for me. And he brought me Gus, and that was it. It just snowballed into what I'm doing now. So,
and did you? I'll just say this. Let me ask it this way: a lot of guys shoot their hunts on GoPros strapped to their caps.
Oh yeah.
There's no shortage of content.
No shortage of content.
And you pop on, you go on YouTube, and there's dozens with 38 views.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
What do you think it is about yours that, I know there's always some magic fairy dust whenever anything in that social media world rises above the noise.
Yeah.
Do you have any sense of what it was about your stuff?
Yeah. The sheer number of birds in some of my first few videos, or the up close, it's weird. Like our core area that we hunt is kind of different than just the big grass fields. You're hunting draws, and you're hunting, crick lines, and our method is to push that's the other thing. We're kind of loud. We're not quiet by any means. But we're it's like a drive. You're driving the birds down to the end. And when it gets down to the end, or when we bottleneck them down into the area that we think we can get them in, and then that's when it starts happening, and the dogs are pointing.
Yeah.
And birds are coming up. And I think it might be part of the reason is because I get them. A lot of my stuff is really close action. I've got roosters at my feet. The one that I had last weekend of Iowa season, I shot that double in one shot, which I've never done.
I saw that one.
Which was unbelievable.
Yep.
That was late season birds. That was last weekend of Iowa season.
And they're sitting that tight
on public ground.
No kidding.
Yes.
You say something that hadn't occurred to me before, but I think that's right, because I watch a lot of these videos, like a lot of guys do. But when a guy gets out of his truck and walks into a huge field of grass, you're I'm going to scrub ahead till I see the gun come up, and then I'm going to start watching from there.
Yes.
But when it's when there's some visual variety, like a tree belt,
yes,
right, or a creek bed or something like that, then it's oh, this is a little more interesting visually to watch.
Yes.
So I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah. And, and then the big flushes of birds, like that one brush pile video I had where, it sucks that the brush pile's there, but it actually enhanced what was there because the cattail slough is still there, and the good quality habitat's there, and the trees aren't there for the red tails and the eagles to sit in to pick them off.
Right.
But that brush pile is there, that feel. It's still there. The brush pile's their place to, when they come up and get grit, they'll come up and get grit out of the road right away in the morning, and then they'll go just sit in that brush pile, and it's right off the road. And I did not know that there was that many birds in there, but there was 50-some birds that were in this, and they just kept pouring out of it. And I've had more comments on that one recently than anything. But, it was just non-stop. They just kept pouring out of this brush pile. But And the whole reason that, and everybody's like, well, why didn't you have your gun? Why didn't you shoot him? Well, that was after the fact that I had already went hunting and I limited out. I was just driving by.
Yeah.
And it's a buddy's place. And I was just driving by to get them birds away from the road because I didn't want to lose my permission, because he's had problems with people shooting him off the road and shooting at his house.
Sure, sure.
So I usually just kind of make a point to go by that place and then kick them back to the cattails to get them out of the way.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to shoot close to houses anyway in Iowa, but
yeah,
it is what it is. But I don't want him to get, the farmer to get madder and madder and then be like, no, I'm just going to take everything out and we're just going to plow it and there'll be no birds around. I don't want my house shot. I'm like, I get that. So I'm going to do my best to keep stuff away from it so I still have places to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the gist of my talk here on the Path to the Upland stage is basically like those of us who don't own land. How can you, because I'm trying to bust this myth that like you have to pay $250 per gun per day to hunt private land in South Dakota. I'm like, or not be an asshole, like just be a nice guy and like give gifts to farmers and come out and help them. Like I'm coming out in May with a couple chainsaws to work on tree belts, and cut branches off of Russian olive trees, you know, and so we can walk them and just little stuff like that farmers, hey, I planted some trees. Can you come help me weed, so I don't have to just hire kids or whatever.
And that's kind of what we do too. Like we, a lot of the farmers that I hunt on in other states, what farmer doesn't like a good steak? So you go get a gift card to the local steakhouse that's really good. And then you give it to them after the hunt. You go hunting and then come back and say thank you, and then you need to give them something. A lot of guys just want booze, which is fine. That's 100% fine.
Yeah.
I'll go buy you a 30-pack of Busch Light, no problem.
Yeah.
But and you have to be nice to the person that's letting you hunt the ground, so you build that trust, like you said, of people that aren't just going to, go and pillage and drive on the ground and
I know,
make it a better thing than when you left it.
Yeah. Tell me where in as much as you feel comfortable talking about this, like where does hunting fit in how you make meaning in your life? Did you grow up in any kind of like religious or spiritual environment? Has your outdoors life supplanted that or enhanced that in any way or anything?
So, growing up, we would go to church on occasion. My mom was extremely religious.
Okay. we're getting comments
heckled.
from the Ron Scherer Productions cheap seats.
Yeah, heckled. Yeah. We're getting heckled. So, growing up, we would go on occasion. My mom was pretty spiritual, but we didn't like. And the bad thing, I don't want it to sound bad, but on Sundays, we would go hunting. I mean, if it was hunting season, we would be hunting. We wouldn't be, taking the time out to go that. In my mind, I believe that I can still talk to God anywhere that I'm at, and I do it on a regular basis.
Okay.
To get a little, to center myself sometimes, to appreciate everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and then Mom got really sick in 2004. She got cancer, and then she started to want to go all the time, and she was getting in touch with, spiritually wise, because she knew what was coming.
Yeah.
Closer to the end, and I mean, she was always spiritual and religious, but it was starting to come to the realization that her time was getting short. So we would go with her and just spend time with her and doing that. And then the one day she said something to me that resonated, that she's like, what are you doing here on Sunday? You guys usually hunt on Sunday. And I'm like, makes a lot of sense. So that's what we did. So, and she would always have lunch for us when we'd come back, and it was like an event. It was like a thing, So, that's kind of how it's gone for me. And then also with Gus, I mean, you go out to the grasslands in South Dakota, and if you can't get a religious experience going to that place, there might be something wrong with you. So that's where it all stems for me.
Yeah.
as far as religion goes. I mean, it's you always appreciate everything that every time that you go out. I have a good friend, Dave. Now I'm the Pinotti Project. Dave, I can't think of his last name. Anyway, so he's a big turkey hunter, and he goes, Dave Owens, you instead of taking a sip, you take a drink. Every experience that you go, do not just take a sip. Don't just go out there and shoot that turkey and then just hurry up, pack it up, and get out. Sit down, appreciate a little bit. It might be a Sunday morning or Saturday morning or whatever. You sit down, appreciate it, relive it in your mind, and just go over with it and thank the good Lord that, you got another day to do that stuff. Because some people don't. I mean, it's.
What a blessing for your mom to say that to you.
Oh, man.
When she was so sick,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's really gotta.
And when she was at the end, there was a lot of things that she was, would talk about how we'd do it back in the day. And then the funny thing is my brothers and I would sit around, and my brother Brian, my oldest brother, who I'm pretty close with everybody, but him and we talk on a daily basis. And him in high school, he was not the golden child. He was the bad egg, and him and his buddies would just terrorize the town. And back in the 80s, it was different world then.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we'd sit there and we'd start telling stories about what we did when we were kids. And Mom thought she was pretty slick. Like, she thought she knew everything that was going on.
Okay.
And Brian and Randy and I were sitting around and we're telling these stories, and she starts laughing, and she's like, I didn't know as much as I thought I did. So we had a good time, but yeah, she thought she was slick, and she had a laugh that was intoxicating. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, and Dad, ever since I was a kid, turkey season was what Dad loved.
Okay.
He loved bird season too, but turkey season, I'd get my coveralls on and I'd go out with him, 8, 10, 12 years old. And we would sit and turkey hunt and come back, and, Mom would cook it and do all that. So, yeah, hunting's been ingrained in my blood since almost from the beginning.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, where are you going to tell me about your what's next? Turkey hunting? You got a turkey? Turkey
season's up next. I've got a good friend of mine, Alan Pick, that lives in the town that I live in, and he's got 3 kids, and we've taken out his 2 oldest. His oldest daughter, Morgan, she's gone 3 for 3 on turkeys.
Wow.
The last 3 years. Brody last year, him and I doubled up on 2 turkeys, his first turkey.
Dang.
And then his youngest son, Reed, who's 8, he's chomping at the bit. He's like, I'm going this year, Dad. I'm going. Awesome. So we've got those 3 kids, and then a couple other kids that we were going to take out. So it'll be a busy spring, but
yeah.
I've killed a lot of turkeys in my life. I don't necessarily need to shoot one, but I eat them and I like them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go out and shoot mine too, but I want to get those kids are first priority.
That's awesome.
Yep. And then we go to Missouri. I go down to southwest Missouri and shoot turkeys down there too.
Okay.
Southeast Missouri, we go down there too.
Yeah.
Usually a trip out to the Black Hills if we can make it, but
yeah.
Spring's a crazy time for the seed business.
I bet. So yeah. I imagine.
So I've got to work every other Saturday, and so it's like, if I can get away. But the local stuff we can. I mean, we've got a lot of turkeys in our area, so it's not too hard.
So you're going to be here at PheasantFest. It's crickets, I've heard, on Sunday afternoon. So you'll be here.
Oh yeah,
helping them tear down the booth and everything. You'll close up shop.
Yep, I'm going to go around to some people that I met that we've going to hook up this fall and get stuff finalized. And I think I'm going to make a big swing out west this year if I can get the time off. I think I'm going to go to Utah and then up through Montana and back to North Dakota.
Nice.
Make that big swing, and then if I can make it, I'll take a day or 2 at least and go to the grasslands where I spread Gus's ashes.
Oh.
So I make that every year.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
Even if I don't even go hunting, I still take the dogs out and we go out to where it's at.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what you pointer guys can do that. For me, it's more duck, it's pheasants and ducks.
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's not a flushing dog area.
Right.
Or,
yeah, it would. No,
You can.
I know. I've heard guys, and they were like, "Oh yeah," and then my dog had a heat stroke because the labs just can't handle that kind of work. So.
And I don't want to go out there when it's September and there's a lot of snakes. I don't.
Oh,
I have no
yeah,
desire
that's
to
another.
go out
yeah,
there.
that's. What do the snakes do? Do they go hibernate later in the season or what?
Yeah, so like especially like in the grasslands out in South Dakota, they'll prairie dog towns or any old structure, they kind of gravitate towards it, and then they'll den up for the winter. If you stay away from prairie dog towns is like a key.
Okay.
Early season prairie dog towns, any brush, and any fence lines, just stay away from.
Really.
As much, but I don't hunt when it's, in September. I don't know how them guys do it. I mentally I can't.
Yeah.
Wrap myself, and prairie rattlers don't have like the strongest venom. So like if a dog gets tagged in the nose or whatever, there's a good chance as long as you get them to the vet, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But if they get tagged in the chest, it doesn't matter how.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter even with the vaccine sometimes. It doesn't always matter.
Yeah, I have no interest in
testing But if you go out there in like November.
Yeah.
They're all, even like middle October when I go out there. If I stay away from prairie dog towns and like barns and stuff like that, they're not even there. They're not out. They're concentrated to them areas.
Okay.
So your chances, I've gone out there the last 15 years and I've had one encounter, but the dog wasn't anywhere near it.
Okay.
So I didn't have to worry about it. I just turned around and went the other way. And I haven't had any encounters, knock on wood, but
yeah.
I make sure that I go late enough that I don't have to.
Yeah. Stay away from
concentrate on that.
Yeah, that seems like no fun.
So Utah, I think, is going to be a mountain grouse, so I don't have to worry about snakes up there.
Okay.
Either. Yeah.
That'll be hard work, man.
I know. I got to lose a little more weight. Hopefully, I won't be breathing near as hard on the videos.
Well, I'll look forward to watching them. I really appreciate you coming on and
definitely
getting to know you a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to share the field sometime.
I'd love it. I'm always looking for people to hunt with, places to hunt.
Yeah.
I'm crazy about it.
Oh,
so
yeah,
anytime.
definitely. Same thing.
Good.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you bet.
Yep.